I walk into every conspiracy theory, everything in life being like, I am dumb enough to probably be wrong. That's like
Sure.
that's my starting point is like,
Yes.
am I wrong for this? And
Anything
so
in life, really. I
so
walk
if they
into
were to
anything
like,
going, I'm dumb enough.
yeah, and I've been saying this all through COVID. It's like if they prove COVID was a hoax, you got me. You got
Yeah.
me. If Kennedy was shot, you got me. If the moon landing was a hoax, you got me. I don't know. The Sandy Hook's the only one where I'm like, well, there's footage. And then
Yeah.
like, that's a weird
I
one to
draw
be
the
like,
line there. I am
that's a
not fucking with the kids. That's where I draw the line. Everything else, though, on the
conspiracy
table.
theorists have to like, that's got to be an interesting sub community of all of them interacting. And like, I wonder what the tiers are or levels of like, do the moon people look down on the JFK people, or are the JFK people the top of the conspiracy theory? Like,
Right.
no, I want to know the inner workings. There should be like, I'm a professional wrestling fan. There should be like a heavyweight champion of conspiracy theories. And
Like
then
Kennedy might be the Intercontinental.
exactly.
Yeah.
9/11, maybe the US champ, just give. And then like Sandy Hook, as you're like, dude, that's like a hardcore match. That's just like a tax match. They're just doing that just to fucking, they're just gonna break a bunch of light bulbs on each other and act like it's wrestling.
Uh, Dude, speaking of wrestling, if I love you brought that up. Since I've started this job and we've gotten big enough, and we'll talk all about your career. We're gonna get into everything on this interview, but since we've been lucky enough to get a lot of like bigger names, I have been on a crusade to find someone in the industry who will say something bad or tell me a story about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson that
Yeah,
is unbecoming, because it feels like, he's just Mr. Perfect in every way.
for
And then
sure.
it feels like in recent years, this with the Behind the Mat documentary where they talk about the infamous match with him and Mankind, where
Yeah.
he just beat the fucking hell out of his head with like an unagreed upon amount of chair shots. And like his kids were crying and he was just like, it seemed every wrestler agrees he went over the line. It feels like I finally found my story that The Rock has done something bad and nobody really seems to care.
Yeah, dude,
Wrestling
I
fans
don't.
kind of talk about it, but nobody talks about the time that The Rock almost killed Mick Foley.
Well, he worked stiff. That's, he just he worked stiff with Mick, and I knew there I'll find a way to just completely take the Rock side. I'm like, I mean, he's the Brahma Bull. What do you want, Kevin? Come on, Kevin. I don't know what to tell you. I just fucking
My argument in favor of him in that situation is not even to do with him. It's to do with Mick Foley. It's like, well,
yeah,
it's Mankind. I
yeah,
had to hit him 14 times. It's Mankind.
Yeah, Mick, like Mankind and Cactus Jack and Dude Love, like he would just really take a shit ton of abuse. That guy was, because if you look at him, he doesn't have the body, and then when you meet him, you're like, oh, you're the nicest guy in the world.
In the world.
When he started doing stand up, was like 2010, right? Like 2010, 2011. And I used to do a lot of shows at Broadway Comedy Club or in the cafe next door. Like me, Nate Bargatze, Joe List, Mark Norman, and like occasionally Sam Morrill, Giannis Pappas. We would all do this. This guy, Aaron Haber, had a room that was all tourists barked in from Times Square. And the whole show were the people that barked them in. And usually like Nate and I, or List and Nate, or Giannis and I, you'd have two pros that would be on the show.
Right.
So it was a nightmare.
I was gonna say, what a shit show with that.
I have bombed so hard in that room, and it's crazy to watch. You were at Nate Bargatze's New York Comedy Festival show at Town Hall.
Oh yeah.
So was I. Unbelievable. Crazy to think that 2 avenues away, I used to watch him in a Vandy shirt and glasses just fucking bomb in front of a bunch of Finnish people, being like, and it was like fun to watch Nate get a hold of that, because like watching Nate learn how to tame that has made him why he's one of the best guys working right now.
Yeah.
Because he used to do this thing where he'd be like, I don't know, do you not understand my accent? And he would just like, but he would be, I mean, Kevin, I'm telling you, dead silent in the room. And Nate,
which is almost impossible for me to believe, because like I'm such a fan of him.
Yeah.
And I've seen where he's gotten to that. It's like, there's no way there's ever been a time where someone wasn't laughing at Nate Bargatze, you know?
Dude, that's what's crazy to watch. I'm so happy for him and like all my friends that have done well. But you just think back to like, I can think back to like 07 to 2011. And a lot of the guys that are doing well, watching them bomb, just we've all watched each other bomb.
Yeah.
That's why that's the comedy. Yeah, that's the comedy locker room. We've all seen each other's wieners cold in water. We've all been like, yeah, dude, I saw you after a hard loss. You know?
Right,
and then
right.
you're just like, yeah, but look at me now. And you're like, no. That's why when everyone's like, great job, I'm like, shut up, people watch me bomb. And Broadway, I used to fucking eat it all the time. So the reason I bring up Broadway is it was a blizzard, and I used to wait tables at Dos Caminos. So I go home to Dos Caminos, I like change into my regular clothes, I get back on the train, it's a blizzard. I'm like, dude, this probably isn't gonna this show isn't gonna happen. And I walk through the snow from the train, from the station to the comedy club. And I walk in and the manager's like, hey, sorry, you have to go later. Mick Foley's on stage. And I'm like, what? And
That sounds like a fever dream. Like, is this real life? Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I walked in and I was like, Mick Foley. And the manager doesn't know I'm a wrestling fan. And I was just like, wait, can I watch? And she was like, yeah. I was like, oh, cool. And I just sat in the back of the room, where all of us bombed. And he did really well. And he was like, because, he's been cutting promos for 20 years.
Sure.
So he's comfortable on stage. But it was interesting to watch because he does storytelling and he's funny about it. But afterwards I met him and I was like, man, what a surreal thing to be said to. Like,
yeah, you're
sorry, dude.
Dude, love Cactus Jack.
Yeah.
Bang bang.
Sorry, dude. Diamond Dallas Page is doing a drop-in set. You gotta fucking chill out.